Sources are revealing a move that could change everything for the Eagles, my friend. The A.J. Brown trade to the New England Patriots is gaining momentum with each passing day. And now a new name has surfaced as part of the negotiation package, a name that is dividing opinions in Philadelphia. Some think he would bring absolutely nothing to the Eagles roster. Others see real value in a receiver who left one of the greatest college football programs in the country, carrying enormous expectations, and who has still not met even half of them. The question is, does Howie Roseman actually want this player? And whether the trade happens with or without him, what do the Eagles gain and what do they lose in this equation? I am going to break down everything circulating behind the scenes of this negotiation, who this receiver is that just appeared on the radar, and what the date of June 1st means for the Eagles' financial future in 2026. But first, if you follow the Eagles for real, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now, because the A.J. Brown negotiations are moving fast, and I am not letting a single detail slip by. Let's get into it. The rumors connecting A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots are not new. But this week, a new element entered the conversation and immediately grabbed attention. The name is Kayshon Boutte, a 23-year-old wide receiver for the Patriots who keeps surfacing repeatedly in discussions about how a trade package for Brown could be structured. Multiple reports and internal league chatter continue to connect New England to Brown in a deal that would be one of the biggest moves of the 2026 offseason. And within that package, Boutte is being mentioned as a balancing element, not as the centerpiece, but as a secondary asset alongside draft capital. But before we dive into the logic of the trade, you need to understand who Kayshon Boutte actually is, because his story is one of the most intriguing in the NFL over the last few years. Boutte was one of the most celebrated wide receiver prospects of his college football generation. At Louisiana State University, the same program that produced names like Odell Beckham Jr. and Justin Jefferson, he arrived carrying the label of a future All-Pro. He was the type of talent that analysts placed on lists of players who would change the league. Physically impressive, with genuine speed and an ability to create separation that rarely shows up in a receiver that young. Every scout wanted a piece of that. Then the draft arrived, and the reality was different from what many expected. The Patriots selected Boutte in the 6th round of 2023, pick 187 overall. 6th round. For a player that many people had inside the top 50 of the draft. It was one of the biggest falls by a talented receiver that the league had seen that year, and the reasons for that fall included concerns about consistency, maturity, and college-level performance that never fully matched the hype that preceded him. In 2023 and 2024, Boutte barely existed on the field. In his first 2 years in the league, he totaled just 12 receptions for 109 yards and 0 touchdowns. Numbers that any football fan would look at and say, this guy did not make it to the professional level. But then came 2025. Last season, Boutte finally showed up. He posted 33 receptions for 551 yards and 6 touchdowns, with an impressive average of 16.7 yards per reception. Those 2025 numbers show a receiver who can be a real threat down the field, the type of player who stretches the defense vertically and creates space for everyone around him. And with those numbers on his resume, New England would reportedly be open to moving him for a day 3 pick if he were dealt independently. But in the context of an A.J. Brown trade, Boutte would not arrive separately. He would arrive as part of a larger package, most likely alongside a future 2nd-round pick, which is exactly where the conversation gets complicated. One NFL observer captured perfectly the sentiment dominating Eagles fan circles right now. In a post that went viral, analyst Thomas R. Peterson wrote, I keep seeing people mentioning Kayshon Boutte as a trade piece in a possible A.J. Brown deal. Can someone explain why the Eagles would want an average wide receiver? I know he is arguably their best, but he would be WR4 at best in Philly. And that sentiment accurately summarizes the central problem with including Boutte in this equation. The Eagles do not need wide receivers. That is the point that any honest analysis needs to put front and center. Look at what the front office has already built in Philadelphia's receiver room. Over the last few months, the Eagles drafted Mekhi Lemon, made a trade to bring in Dontavion Wicks, signed Marquise Hollywood Brown, and also added Elijah Moore. That is before even counting Devonta Smith, who remains on the roster as one of the best route runners in the NFC. The Eagles' receiver room in 2026, even without A.J. Brown, is one of the deepest and most complete in the league. Adding Boutte as a 5th or 6th receiver in that scenario does not move the needle in any meaningful direction. That is exactly why league sources indicate that Philadelphia's interest in Boutte is limited. In most scenarios discussed internally, he is viewed more as a throw-in, something New England tosses into the package to balance the value, than as a player the Eagles are actively targeting. The difference between wanting a player and accepting a player as part of a larger deal is enormous, and that detail matters a great deal for understanding how Howie Roseman is thinking about this negotiation. What does Roseman actually want in a trade package for A.J. Brown? The answer circulating among Philadelphia insiders is clear: a 2028 first-round pick. Many fans and analysts in the city have already made it explicit that they would prefer a 2028 first-round pick over a combination of a 2027 second-round pick plus Boutte. And that preference makes complete strategic sense when you consider that the Eagles are in a competitive window that extends through at least 2028, with Jalen Hurts at the peak of his maturity as a quarterback and a roster built to win now and in the years ahead. But there is one factor that could define everything in this equation, and it is a specific date on the calendar: June 1st, 2026. That date is the financial turning point that determines how an A.J. Brown trade would affect the Eagles' cap space. If the deal is completed before June 1st, Philadelphia absorbs a dead cap hit of more than $40 million in 2026. $40 million in a single season. That is a number that would make any general manager pause and reconsider the timing of any move. Now, if the Eagles wait and close the trade after June 1st, that dead cap hit of more than $40 million is split across 2 fiscal years, and the immediate impact on 2026 cap space drops to something above $20 million, immediately freeing up more than $20 million for Roseman to use in the current offseason. $20 million of cap space is a significant difference that can determine which other moves the front office is able to make in this window. That is exactly why the A.J. Brown trade, if and when it happens, will almost certainly wait until after June 1st. The NFL is a calendar business, and Howie Roseman understands better than any other general manager how to use timing as a negotiating tool. What does all of this mean for Boutte? It means that for the next 3 to 4 weeks, his name is going to keep appearing in the discussions. The conversations will continue, and the question of whether the Eagles accept or reject his inclusion in the final package will depend fundamentally on what other asset New England is willing to put on the table. If the Patriots offer a solid first-round pick plus Boutte, the conversation changes. If the offer is a second-round pick plus Boutte, Roseman will likely ask for more. And if the Patriots simply never reach the level that Philadelphia considers fair value for the best receiver in the league over the last 4 years, the trade does not happen. A.J. Brown is 28 years old. He has 3 All-Pro selections. He has averaged more than 75 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns per season over the course of his career. Any team that acquires him is getting one of the very best players at his position in the game, and Howie Roseman knows that. He is not going to give him away cheaply. And Boutte, as much as he showed signs of life in 2025, is not enough currency on his own to balance that kind of exchange. With June 1st approaching and negotiations still unresolved, do you think the Eagles should accept Boutte as part of an A.J. Brown trade package? Or does Roseman need to hold out for a first-round pick with no concessions for this trade to make any sense? Leave your take in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later with the latest Eagles news. Fly, Eagles, fly!